Hi, Junior with today's thought. I trust everybody had a great Memorial Day weekend. Now back to business, which in my case is sharing my thoughts on the issues of the day. And today we're going to talk about, well, as everybody knows, 6 Israeli hostages were murdered in cold blood, a bullet in the back of the head by Hamas. And that's what we're going to, two aspects of that. First, just a very brief comment. The way the liberal media reported it, they're getting a lot of pushback on it because the headline was on CNN and I believe another, and at least one other liberal medium, I forget which one it is, but the headline was 6 hostages died in Gaza. Not 6 hostages murdered by Hamas, killed by terrorists, just that they died as if they had heart attacks or something. They got a lot of comments on that. Whether they corrected that headline or not, that I don't know. But that gives you an idea of the mindset of how anti-Israel and how liberal and how pro-Hamas actually, and probably a lot of it has to do with trying to get the Democrats, because these are all Democrat operatives, these the mainstream media, and they're trying to help Biden in Michigan, or not Biden, Kamala Harris in Minnesota and Michigan, where there's a large Arab pro-Hamas, unfortunately, population. But that just gives you an idea of their mindset. But another thing gives you an idea, and it's the left, not just the left in the United States, but the left in Israel. They're out in the streets. They practically shut down the economy of Israel. They had a one-day strike. Their Supreme Court, the equivalent of our Supreme Court, ordered them to end the strike. They said this is not because it was a labor unions. There's one labor union, Histadrut, which is the main labor union. Anyways, all these unions, they held a strike, and the court ruled that this was a political strike, not a labor strike, and they all had to. They were ordered by the court to end the strike. But they're a minority. They're just like here. The left is a minority in Israel, as they are here. And what do when they can't win at the ballot box? They just go out and they take to the streets, and they demonstrate, and they wear, sometimes they're violent, they destroy property, attract Jews in this case in the United States, and they just make a lot of. They can't win at the ballot box, so they just try to shut down. All these guys, they'll throw stuff on paintings, they'll block roads, as if the majority is going to listen to them to get them to stop and do what they want. And of course they're not. But the most despicable aspect, or one of the most, is Biden's comment. You may have heard of that. He was asked if Netanyahu was doing enough to free the hostages, as if the burden was on Netanyahu, as if it was his fault. And no pressure on Hamas. And actually, Alan Dershowitz, he does a daily show. It's a podcast, I think, but you can see it on YouTube. And he said he objects to this phrase that they've been using: "Bring them home, bring them back, bring them home." And he says, no, it should be "let them go, let them go." In other words, don't berate Netanyahu to bring them back, berate Hamas to let them go. But the pressure is always on Israel, and in this case, it was, well, Netanyahu had enough. And when he heard that comment, that being blamed that he's not doing enough, and that's what this is all about, by the way. They're hostage families on the right and the left, and the ones on the right they support, as do most of the majority of the Israeli people. They support what Netanyahu is doing. And he's saying, yeah, I grieve for my loved ones. If they're alive, I want them back. But more than that, I don't want what I'm going through to. I don't want another family to have to go through in the future. I don't want somebody else to be taken hostage or killed or raped or burned alive, as happened on October 7th. I don't want that to happen to anybody again. That is more important. In other words, putting the Israeli people and the country ahead of themselves. But on the left, it's just like here, there's a Trump derangement syndrome. There also seems to be a Netanyahu derangement syndrome in Israel. And the left is totally focused on forcing him out of power. And it's really a shame. But you have Biden, Joe Biden, and the whole administration actually siding pretty much, for all practical purposes, siding with Hamas and telling Netanyahu that he needs to do more. He needs to surrender to Hamas. So he needs to surrender Israel to Hamas. That's effectively what they're asking for. And he'd had enough, and he replied on video, and I'm going to show you the video right now. Here is Bibi.
I was asked whether I'm not doing enough to the release of hostages. Well, I want to set the record straight. On April 27th, Secretary of State Blinken said that Israel made an extraordinarily generous offer for a hostage deal. On May 31st, Israel agreed to a U.S.-backed proposal. Hamas refused. On August 16th, Israel agreed to what the United States defined as a final bridging proposal. Hamas refused again. On August 19th, Secretary Blinken said, Israel accepted the U.S. proposal. Now Hamas must do the same. On August 28th, that's 5 days ago, Deputy CIA Director said that Israel shows seriousness in the negotiations. Now Hamas must show the same seriousness. I want to ask you something. What has changed in the last 5 days? What has changed? One thing. These murderers executed 6 of our hostages. They shot them in the back of the head. That's what's changed. And now after this, we're asked to show seriousness? We're asked to make concessions? What message does this send Hamas? It says, kill more hostages, murder more hostages, you'll get more concessions. The pressure internationally must be directed at these killers, at Hamas, not at Israel. We say yes, they say no all the time, but they also murdered these people. And now we need maximum pressure on Hamas. I don't believe that either President Biden or anyone serious about achieving peace and achieving the release would seriously ask Israel to make these concessions. We've already made them. Hamas has to make the concessions. Thank you very much. Toda rabba lachem.
Netanyahu is exactly right. Shame on Joe Biden. Shame on him. And that's my thought for today. Thanks for stopping by. If you could subscribe, that would really be great. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. Comments always welcome below the video in the comment section. But most of all, come back and see me again. I would love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.